So there was a specific legislation that was passed a few years ago that basically identified this group of people being held in, forced labor conditions. And there was the New York Times and other publications that provided visible proof, satellite imagery, documentation, pretty substantive body of information, and more is coming out from lots of different independent sources that there is this issue. And the US is really the only country that has this law that basically enables Customs and Border Protection to either stop the goods from entering the country, destroying the goods if they do enter the country. They have basically the ability to do that. And this law also is unique because it basically presumes you're guilty, and it is your responsibility as the importer to prove your innocence.
And that's a U.S. law? Interesting. Okay. Well, that's good.
And there's no
It's
other
nice to
country.
know.
There's no other country that's given Customs and Border Protection the latitude to question goods from entering the country that may have forced labor related to it. It's really the first legislation of its kind that even identifies forced labor in supply chains. And the first products that were identified were cotton, tomatoes, and polysilicon chips. And polysilicon chips, are used in everything from your phone battery to, microchips in computers. It's really solar panels. I mean, there's just a multitude of things that now have the question of, is there forced labor connected to it? And there are different ways to prove forced labor too, right? There are financial transactions. That's one part of it. But the other part, which is what we look at, is do the internal materials have any connection to that part of the world that may be using forced labor? And it also has ramifications for future trade agreements and what's happening on the tariff side. Because if the US says, well, if you use US cotton outside of the US and you make it into a t-shirt, what if you re-import that good into the US, maybe under some new legislation that they were working on, you might be able to get a duty exemption or tariff exemption if you were able to prove the origin of the material what is US derived. So there are opportunities to do the right thing, and also there are new trade agreements and tariffs that could relate the origin of the raw material at its source and provide some kind of benefit. And this could relate to chocolate, it could relate to coffee, it could relate to olive oil, it could relate to any material. So if this is the way the US government is already starting to think about trade agreements and linking them to tariffs, what is every other country going to be thinking? The same.